I found a tattoo under my wife's panties, and it led me down a hell I never expected. The night everything changed, but not how I thought. Let me preface this by saying I thought my marriage was solid. Not perfect, what marriage is after 5 years and 2 kids. But stable. Predictable. Comfortable. We had our routines. Saturday pancakes. Netflix on the couch. Birthday sex and occasional. Just to keep it fresh. Date nights. I work in finance, long hours, stress, but I always made it home for dinner. She, Alina, worked part-time at a boutique downtown and handled most of the kids' stuff. We were a good team. Or so I thought. A few weeks ago, something strange happened. It started during sex. I know, classic, right? It had been a while since we really connected, if you know what I mean. We weren't in a drought exactly, but it was that kind of married sex, efficient, quiet, like changing the oil in a car. No fireworks. But that night? That night was different. We were in the bedroom, kids asleep upstairs, a bottle of wine down. I was kissing her thighs, just following the trail, when I noticed something. A tattoo. Just under her panty line, on her left hip. Delicate black script. Not big. Not flashy. Just new. And not something I'd ever seen before. I paused. She squirmed. I kissed it instinctively, and she gasped. Like her soul left her body and came back with a vengeance. Then we had sex. Hard, wild, loud sex. I'm talking biting, clawing, leg shaking, stuff we hadn't done since year 1, maybe even before the kids. I swear to God, I thought I was a teenager again. After, she passed out, all glowy and breathless. I stared at the ceiling and smiled like a fool. I was thinking maybe she'd taken up therapy. Maybe she'd found some great new self-love podcast. Maybe she was just into me again. But that's when the questions started gnawing at me. When the hell did she get that tattoo? And more importantly, who was it for? I couldn't shake it. That tattoo sat in my brain like an itch I couldn't scratch. The next morning over coffee, I casually asked, "Hey, when did you get that tattoo?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "Which one?" The one on your hip." She paused, eyes still locked on the screen. "Oh. That. Got it a while ago. You just never noticed." Bull. Shit. I've seen her naked more times than I've seen my own reflection. There's no way I missed a tattoo in that spot. It wasn't even healing. It looked fresh, but not brand new, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks old. Which only made it weirder. She sipped her coffee like I'd just asked what groceries we needed. Not an ounce of discomfort. Something in me twitched. "You didn't tell me you were getting one." She shrugged. "Girls' night. Kinda spontaneous. I didn't think it was a big deal." I stared at her. Elena, who used to complain when I trimmed my beard without telling her first, just spontaneously got a tattoo. On her pelvis? During a girls' night? She hates needles. Always said they freaked her out. So either she changed overnight, or she was lying. And it didn't end there. That week, I started noticing things. Weird things. She had a new playlist on her phone, songs I didn't recognize, way more sexual than her usual acoustic stuff. Lingerie in the laundry I'd never seen. Her hair was glossier, her nails always done. She started working out again, which was great, but it felt performative. Like she was doing it for someone. Then, on Thursday night, I came home early from work. She was on her laptop in the living room, didn't hear me come in. I peeked over her shoulder, habit I guess. She was on a messaging app. Not Facebook. Not WhatsApp. Something I didn't recognize. All I saw was a single line before she slammed the lid shut. "Did you like the pic I sent you from the fitting room?" She froze. Then smiled, too wide, and said, "Hey babe, I didn't hear you come in." I didn't say anything. Just kissed her forehead and told her I'd grab a shower. In the bathroom, I sat on the toilet seat with the door locked and just stared at nothing. Because now I knew. Not 100%, not yet. But deep down, I knew. Something was going on. And I was going to find out what. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind replayed the way she slammed her laptop shut. That awkward smile. The fake cheer in her voice. And that goddamn message. Did you like the pic I sent you from the fitting room? Alina hadn't gone shopping recently. Not with me. Not for me. So who the hell was she sending fitting room pics to? I wanted to believe it was harmless. Maybe her friends were goofing around. Maybe it was a joke. But deep down, I already knew that it wasn't. So the next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her stuff. Started with her phone. Locked. Same passcode as always. Except it wasn't. Changed. Her laptop? Password protected now, too. That was new. Alina wasn't the lock everything down type. She used to leave her stuff open all the time, even complained that I didn't keep enough secrets. I started checking drawers, pockets, bags, anything. I was a man on a mission, running on betrayal and paranoia. I finally found it, her old tablet, buried in the back of her closet, probably forgotten. Or maybe not. No password. I opened it and boom, there it was. Notifications from an app called Telegram. Mostly muted, except one conversation. Just a string of emojis and hearts. I opened it. I wish I hadn't. There were dozens of messages. Flirty. Suggestive. A few nudes, her in lingerie I'd never seen before, some even in the boutique's changing room, mirror shots. Thighs. Cleavage. One shot from above, legs spread slightly, caption. Wish you were here to taste this smiling face with horns. I wanted to vomit. Not because she was sexy, but because it wasn't for me. That look in her eyes, the way she posed, it wasn't the woman who made love to me that wild night. It was someone else. Someone she became when she wasn't Alina the wife. She was herself for him. I scrolled further. They talked about hotels. About the next party. About Friday night at Bianca's, just girls, but maybe you can sneak in after midnight, winking face. I slammed the tablet shut. That wasn't a tattoo she got for herself. It was a mark for him. For them. I was shaking. I looked at myself in the mirror, shirt half unbuttoned, tie crooked, and I just cracked. What the hell was I? A babysitter? A paycheck? Just the guy who handled the mortgage while she got her thrills somewhere else. And the worst part? I still wanted her. That night on the bed, her body arching under mine, the way she kissed me, it wasn't fake. She gave it to me. But it wasn't for me. I was going to confront her. But not yet. First, I needed to find out exactly how far this rabbit hole went. That weekend, she said she had a girls' night with Bianca and Chloe, her two closest friends. They were the wine and spa type, nothing scandalous, at least that's what I used to think. Before the Telegram messages. Before the nudes. Before that damn tattoo. Now, I wasn't so sure. So I played it cool. Oh, girls' night? That's great, babe. You deserve it. She smiled. Too wide. Wore lipstick she hadn't touched in months, a tight black skirt, and that new lacy red top I'd never seen before. She kissed me lightly, the way you kiss your brother, and headed out with a "Love you." I waited 10 minutes. Then I followed. Yes, I know how this sounds. Trust me, I hated myself for it. But the tablet, the messages, the tattoo, I had to know. She wasn't heading to Bianca's place like she said? Nope. Uber dropped her off at this swanky downtown condo building. Not a house party. A damn loft. I parked across the street and waited like a creep in the shadows. The building had big open windows facing the street. Dim lights inside, loud music. I saw silhouettes. Dancing. Drinking. And then, her. My wife. My Alina. wearing a silk robe over lingerie, laughing as a woman poured champagne into her cleavage and another licked it off. I swear to God. I sat there, frozen, as I watched her lean into some guy's ear, whisper something, then guide him by the hand into a darker room. 2 girls followed. I felt like I was dying. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just one guy. It was a lifestyle. A whole secret existence. Erotic parties, half-naked strangers, champagne-fueled orgies. And she came home every night, tucked our kids into bed, and kissed me goodnight. I didn't even drive home. I parked in a grocery lot, and just stared at the ceiling of my car for 3 hours, gripping the steering wheel like it could save me. What kind of man was I? How could I not know? Was I boring? Too safe? Not enough? She was getting everything I wasn't giving, and she didn't even have the decency to leave me first. No. She let me think we were okay. She let me fall back in love with her that night with the tattoo. And now, I was going to make her regret it. She came home around 3:30 a.m., smelling like perfume that wasn't hers and champagne she didn't buy. Her lipstick was half smeared, eyes glossy, pupils like saucers. I was sitting on the couch. Lights off. Just waiting. When she saw me, she jumped, like she didn't expect me to still be awake. "Babe?" she said, pulling her coat tight around her. "You scared me. Why are you sitting in the dark?" I didn't say anything right away. Just watched her squirm, watched her try to figure out what I knew. "You weren't at Bianca's," I finally said. Her eyes flicked for a split second. That was it. A single second of panic. Then the lies poured out like they were rehearsed. Bianca's neighbor had a birthday party. It got a little wild, I guess. Nothing crazy. Just drinks, music. Champagne in your bra wild? That kind of party? She froze. Excuse me? You heard me. I saw you. The loft. The robe. The guy you took into the back with the 2 girls. She stared at me, blinking. For a moment, I thought she might admit it. But no. Alina doubled down. That wasn't me. Are you kidding me? Alina, I saw you with my own eyes. I parked across the street. Then you saw wrong. She snapped, getting defensive now. If you're gonna stalk me like some insecure psycho, maybe you have the problem. There it was. Classic deflection. Suddenly I was the bad guy. The stalker. The paranoid husband. She even had the audacity to look hurt. You're twisting everything. I needed a night out. I've been feeling invisible. You don't even notice me anymore. Maybe if you paid attention to what I needed, I wouldn't have to go anywhere. That one stung. Not because it was true, but because it was the kind of thing I used to worry about. That I wasn't enough. That she'd outgrow me. That she was bored. And now she was weaponizing it like I pushed her into getting bent over a loft bar table. I stood up. Calm. Cold. Here's what's going to happen, I told her. You're going to sleep in the guest room tonight. I'm going to decide what to do with this marriage. And you're going to leave that smug little smirk in your purse, because I promise you, I haven't even started showing you what betrayal feels like. She didn't respond. Just turned and walked down the hall. I sat back on the couch and realized my hands were shaking. She wasn't even sorry. But I was done playing her fool. And I wasn't just going to expose the truth. I was going to burn down her little fantasy world. I didn't sleep. I sat in our kitchen with a legal pad, jotting down everything I knew, and everything I needed to find out. Because if I was going to take this lying, champagne-soaked cheater down, I needed more than a few half-naked shadows behind a window. I needed evidence. And I needed to be surgical about it. This wasn't going to be a shouting match. This was going to be war. And the first thing I needed was her phone. So, the next morning, while she was in the shower, I went into action. I knew she never left her phone unguarded anymore, but old habits die hard. She'd sometimes take it into the bathroom and leave it on the counter when the water ran. And sure enough, There it was, screen up, charging. Face ID? Locked. But I knew her better than she thought. I once caught her napping on the couch, phone on her chest. It unlocked with her face. So I tested it. She came out 10 minutes later to find me pouring cereal like nothing happened. I smiled, kissed her cheek. She flinched. Guilt was all over her like bad perfume. What she didn't know was that I'd already seen everything. Telegram, Instagram DMs, even her secret second Snapchat account, username, Godship33. Barf. It wasn't just one guy. There were 3 regulars. One was her yoga buddy, who apparently gave her more than just deep stretches. Another was a tech bro she met through Chloe, who called her his little chaos fairy. Yes, I gagged. And the third was some sleazeball artist who took erotic photos of her in fishnets with a ball gag. She called me too vanilla in one message. Said she was trapped in a suburban fantasy. Claimed she faked it for the kids. That line broke something in me. We have 2 sons, 8 and 5. I've rocked them to sleep, bandaged scraped knees, taught them how to hold a damn baseball bat. And she used them as an excuse for her betrayal? She didn't just cheat on me. She tried to rewrite our whole life as some suffocating punishment she had to escape from. Fine. She wanted out? I was going to show her the door and shove her through it. But first, I took screenshots. Backed everything up. Google Drive. Encrypted USB. Sent a backup to my brother's email. She'd made me doubt myself. Humiliated me. Made me wonder if I wasn't enough of a man. But the receipts told a different story. She was the fraud. And I was about to ruin the fantasy she thought she could keep living. The next few days I played it calm. Collected. I was polite, civil, even a little affectionate, just enough to keep her from suspecting anything. Meanwhile, every spare moment I wasn't working or with the kids, I was planning. She thought she was a chess master. What she didn't know was that I'd been letting her win. Letting her lie. Letting her believe she was in control. Not anymore. First, I talked to a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a savage divorce attorney who specializes in high-conflict cases. She read my notes, scrolled through the screenshots, and said, "Oh honey, she's cooked." Second, I reached out to the other men's partners. Yep, turns out 2 of them had girlfriends. One was married. I didn't send an angry rant. Just a polite message. "Hey, I think we may need to talk. I have some information you'll want to see. Your partner and my wife are connected." Let me tell you, that started a cascade. One girlfriend, let's call her Jess, even thanked me. Said she'd been suspecting something for months. The married one? His wife called me crying, then raging, then calm. Said she'd been pregnant when the affair started. Guess who suddenly found himself blocked by 3 women in the span of 48 hours? Yep. My dear Alina's fantasy world started crumbling, and she had no idea I was the wrecking ball. Then I made my last move. I booked a fancy dinner. Told her I wanted to reconnect. She got excited. Wore a dress I hadn't seen in years. Low-cut, tight, clearly one of her. For him, not me. Outfits. But I smiled and told her she looked stunning. At dinner, I handed her a small gift box. She opened it, expecting jewelry. Inside was a USB stick. And a note. "Everything you sent, everything you said, and everyone you did. Backed up. Secure. Safe. You have 48 hours to agree to an uncontested divorce, or this goes to everyone." Her face strained like I'd sucked the blood from her. "You're bluffing," she whispered. I didn't blink. "I'm not." She tried to smile. "We have kids." "I know. That's why I'm giving you a clean exit. Because once this gets ugly, it'll get really ugly. For you." She didn't speak for the rest of dinner. I paid the check, took her arm, and walked her to the car like a gentleman. But inside, I was already celebrating. The woman who turned me into a paranoid, insecure shell of myself had finally run out of places to hide. And I wasn't done yet. By morning, the mood had completely shifted. She stormed into the kitchen while I was packing lunch for the kids, face flushed, fists clenched, ready to perform. "You really think you can blackmail me?" she snapped. I calmly set the peanut butter down. "It's not blackmail if it's the truth," she scoffed. "You don't know what you saw. Those messages, you don't get the full context. You're twisting everything." There it was again. The Alina classic: deny, deflect, diminish. "You're saying the photo of you with a collar and leash is, what? Performance art?" I asked. She flushed. "It was for fun. It didn't mean anything." "Then it shouldn't be a problem when our friends and your family see it, right?" Silence. I let that hang in the air while our kids played with Legos in the next room. Her face turned from defensive to panicked. Because for once, she had something to lose. "Please don't ruin everything," she muttered. "We can fix this. We can do counseling. I'll stop seeing them." "Alina," I said, and my voice cracked a little because I meant this. "I begged for your attention for years. You gave it to half the men in the city instead. You don't get to hit the brakes now that I finally hit back." That shut her up. She left the room in silence. I dropped the kids at school, then called my lawyer and gave the go-ahead. Uncontested divorce package. Prepped. Filed. The next 2 weeks were like watching someone unravel in real time. She tried everything. Flipping between tears, seduction, guilt-tripping. She even tried to crawl into my bed one night in lingerie, one of the ones I'd seen in his mirror selfie. I turned her away without even raising my voice. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. I'd spent years wondering what I was doing wrong. If I wasn't attractive enough, exciting enough, if I'd somehow driven her into other men's arms. But I finally saw the truth. It wasn't about me. It was about her, the kind of woman who needed constant attention, constant drama, constant ego stroking. She was never going to be satisfied with someone stable, loyal, kind. I wasn't the boring one. I was the anchor in her storm, and she hated being tethered. Now she was adrift. And I was finally free. It didn't take long for the ripples to hit her precious girls' circle. Chloe ghosted her first, blocked on everything. Then Bianca posted a cryptic Instagram story about fake-ass friends who lie and suck married men. I don't even use Instagram, but trust me, people send it to me. The tech bro she was seeing? Fired. Apparently his wife took the evidence and filed a complaint with his company's ethics board. The artist guy? He disappeared faster than her excuses. Suddenly, the invitation stopped. The texts dried up. She wasn't the fun, flirty ringleader anymore. She was radioactive. And I was thriving. Gym. Therapist. A little more attention to how I dressed. Hell, even the barista at my regular coffee spot started chatting longer. Turns out when you stop carrying the weight of a woman who's screwing around behind your back, your spine straightens a little. Meanwhile, she was still at the house, moping around like a ghost in yoga pants, hoping I'd call off the divorce. She even wrote me a letter. Real paper and pen. Said she was lost. That she forgot who she was. That I'd always been her rock. It was kinda beautiful. Until I remembered she wrote that 2 weeks after asking a guy named Blake if she could come over and ride his face again. I tossed the letter in the drawer with the rest of the lies. I wasn't going to play her game anymore. No big blow-up. No final dramatic speech. Just quiet resolve. The day she got served the official papers, she didn't even cry. She just looked tired. Like she knew the dream was over. And I looked back at her, calm and clean, and thought, you burned our life down for a cheap thrill and an even cheaper man. And now you get to sit in the ashes. The day she moved out was underwhelming. She packed her things in quiet spurts. No drama, no yelling. Just the occasional sigh as she folded her overpriced workout gear and tucked away all the things she thought made her interesting. That stupid silk robe. The heels I hadn't seen in years. Her dumb little bottle of perfume named something like Wild Secrets or Noir Desire. Honestly, I was surprised she didn't try to leave glitter in her wake. She asked if we could talk one more time before she left. I said no. Because what was there left to say? That she'd found herself in a loft full of sweaty strangers. That she thought a new tattoo and getting railed by 3 dudes who called her kitten made her alive again? Nah. I'd heard enough lies for a lifetime. Instead, I walked her to the door like a hotel guest checking out. She stood there, suitcase in hand, waiting for some signal from me, an ounce of guilt, of weakness, of longing. I gave her none. Take care, Alina, I said. Really? And then I shut the door. That night, I poured myself a glass of scotch I'd been saving since our anniversary 2 years ago. The one where she had a migraine, and went to bed early but texted Blake. Just wish it was your hands instead, pleading face. Yeah. That bottle. I raised a toast to no longer being the backup dancer in her attention-starved Broadway routine. I felt more peace sitting alone on that couch than I had in years. No second-guessing. No monitoring her tone, her texts, her nights out. Just silence. Honest, unfiltered silence. And then I blocked her. Phone. Email. Everything. Because I'd spent enough nights worrying if I was the problem, wondering if I was boring or too soft or too vanilla. But I wasn't. I was just a good man in a marriage with someone who wanted to be worshipped, not loved. And now she gets to worship herself, alone. You ever watch a hurricane roll through a town and think, damn, glad I left when I did? That's exactly how it felt watching the post-divorce fallout from the sidelines. Alina's little empire of whispers and curated lies was crumbling, and she was finally getting a taste of the consequences. Her job at the boutique? Gone. Apparently, one of the other wives she'd crossed paths with also happened to be a VIP customer and made a few strategic calls. Let's just say the owner decided. Optics matter. The loft party crew? Abandoned ship. Nobody wants to be associated with the woman whose drama burned down a dozen relationships and almost took out a tech company's stock price. Even her own mom stopped defending her. Sent me a text saying, I don't know what got into her. I raised her better. Oof. I didn't respond. I wasn't gloating. Okay, a little. But mostly I was just stunned. It was like the universe finally caught up with her. I heard from mutuals that she tried to spin the breakup as a mutual decision. Said we grew apart. But that didn't fly when the screenshots started circulating. You can't call it growing apart when you're gagged and riding strangers like a rodeo in someone else's kitchen. One of the guys she cheated with even reached out to apologize to me. Said he didn't know she was married. I didn't forgive him, didn't need to. But it was nice to hear someone say, you didn't deserve that. Because for a long time, I thought maybe I did. That I was boring. That I let her slip through the cracks. That I should have fought harder, been sexier, edgier, somethinger. But no. She was just a liar. And I was finally in a life where my peace wasn't constantly under siege by someone who needed chaos to feel relevant. So I took that peace and did something radical. I started living again. Gym. Old friends. Travel. I even signed up for one of those stupid cooking classes she used to laugh at. Spoiler, it was awesome. And when people asked how I was doing, I said the most honest thing I'd ever said in years. I'm better without her. It's funny how much space one person can take up in your life, even when they're not actually giving you anything worth holding onto. Once she was gone, I realized how much I'd shrunk myself just to keep our marriage easy. I stopped cooking weird meals because she made fun of anything that wasn't grilled chicken or kale. I quit going to trivia nights because she said it was too nerdy. Hell, I even changed my cologne because she said the old one smelled like divorce. Turns out, it smelled like me. So yeah, I dug that bottle out of the back of the drawer and started wearing it again. And guess what? First day I wore it, the barista at my usual spot said, "Wow, you smell really good." That was the first real smile I had in months. I started leaning into all the stuff I used to love. Bought a new set of knives. Cooked an actual filet mignon from scratch. Took a spontaneous weekend trip to Colorado and hiked until my legs screamed. I even downloaded a dating app, just to look. I wasn't quite ready yet, but it felt like taking off a cast, testing if I could walk again after the fracture she left behind. And slowly, I could. Even ran into an old friend from college at the gym, Hannah. We had drinks. Talked about music. I laughed until my stomach hurt, and not once did I feel like I had to censor myself or shrink to fit someone else's fragile ego. She didn't flirt. I didn't either. But it didn't matter. Because that night, driving home, I realized I wasn't surviving anymore. I was living. And I didn't need revenge or pity or another body to fill the void. I just needed to be allowed to take up space again in my own damn life. Alina took that from me. But I took it back. One random Saturday, I walked past a tattoo shop I must have driven by 100 times. Normally, I wouldn't have given it a second look. But something about it pulled me in. Maybe it was that night. The night when I first saw her tattoo. The one that woke me up in the worst and weirdest way, lit a fire, made me question everything. It was the spark that led me into the inferno. And now, standing outside that shop, I thought, screw it. Let's take something back. So I walked in. There was this chill guy behind the counter, arms full of ink, soft music playing. "You got something in mind?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Something small. Quiet. Just for me." I didn't go with anything dramatic. No skulls. No quotes about betrayal. I chose something simple, an anchor. Not because I'm a sailor. Not even close. But because after everything, I realized that's what I was the whole time. Her anchor. And now, I wanted to be my own. The process didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Or maybe pain just didn't scare me anymore. When it was done, I looked in the mirror. Right on my left rib, tucked beneath the shirt line. Clean. Sharp. Mine. I walked out of that shop not just inked, but branded by my story on my terms. It was like a tiny middle finger to the past and a high five to the future. Let her keep her sneaky tattoo and her fake smiles and her girls' nights. I've got my own mark now. And no one gets to lie about what it means. 2 months after the divorce finalized, I got the text. It was a random Tuesday. I was meal prepping grilled chicken like a functioning adult when my phone buzzed. "Alina. Hey. Just wondering how you've been. Miss talking to you." I stared at it for a full minute. Like it might morph into something sane. This woman. This absolute chaos merchant. She blew up our marriage with enough lies to make a telenovela blush. She had the audacity to parade around loft parties like a horny empress, humiliate me, gaslight me, and now, she wanted to check in. "To miss talking?" I didn't reply right away. I let it sit there. Stew. I wanted to understand what she really meant. It wasn't that she missed me. She missed the version of me who still cared. The guy she could string along, who'd kiss her forehead while she texted Blake behind my back. The man who'd panic when she cried and offer forgiveness like a coupon she never earned. She wasn't lonely for me, she was lonely for control. So I did the most satisfying thing I've done in a long time. I texted back. "I'm great. Found peace. Hope you find it too." Then I blocked her. No drama. No insults. No dragging her name through the mud. Just clean, surgical closure. Because that's the thing about people like Alina, they feed on attention, even if it's hate. They don't care why you're still talking, just that you are. But not me. Not anymore. That chapter was closed. Locked. Sealed. And me? I was already writing a better one. It's been nearly a year since I found that tattoo. It's funny, really. That tiny piece of ink, hidden under lace, pressed into skin, turned out to be the breadcrumb that led me out of a lie and back into myself. I've got full custody of peace now. My mornings are quiet. My nights aren't filled with suspicion or fake apologies. I eat what I want. Laugh when it's real. And I sleep like a man who no longer shares a bed with a stranger. People always ask if I'd ever get back with her. If she begged. If she changed. Let me say this loud and clear: no. Not in this life. Not in the next. Because what I've learned is that love isn't just about passion and chemistry, and who looks good in a black dress. It's about respect. Honesty. Showing up when it's hard. Staying loyal when it's inconvenient. She had all of me, and still went looking for crumbs. But I've stopped chasing people who are addicted to their own emptiness. I don't hate her anymore. I just don't think about her unless I'm telling this story. And even then, she feels more like a character I used to know than someone who once shared my life. If you're reading this and you're in the thick of it, lost, confused, blaming yourself, let me tell you. It's not your fault she lied. It's not your fault he cheated. You didn't deserve the betrayal, no matter how imperfect you were. What you do deserve: a clean slate, a clear conscience, and a damn good life. Take it from me. Sometimes the worst night of your life is just the start of your best chapter. And sometimes the tattoo isn't a love mark, it's a warning label. The end. Or maybe just the beginning. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.